apparently our other bird thinks that birds can't talk.
Pretty bird.
Pretty bird.
Pretty bird.
Pretty bird.
Hello.
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 Hello. Boom. Hey guys, and welcome back. Today I get to introduce our big birds. These two here are the biggest of our flock. I have Poncho here on my right, who is a Green-Winged Macaw. And then Maxine here, who we just call Max, is our Blue and Gold Macaw. And hopefully you can hear me over all the jibber-jabber of the other bird. Max here on my left is a Blue and Gold Macaw, which they are named after their primary color of featherings, which is blue and gold. I've had her since I was 17 years old. Now, I would normally highly recommend against someone of that age getting a parrot, especially one of this size. I'd already had a lot of experience with birds at the time, and I actually had no intentions of getting a bird at the time. I was actually picking up supplies for Sunny, my little conure I had at the time, at the local pet store. And when I got there, they had Max in a cage just sitting off to the side, and I went to check her out because obviously she was gorgeous and I wanted to see her, and I'd always been fascinated with the big birds. And on my way out, I noticed a gentleman who was also looking at her and was telling the salesperson on how amazingly he trained his other bird at home to hold an unlit cigarette. At that point, I was pretty distraught. Cigarettes are so bad for pets, let alone, I mean, birds in general, it's very bad, but any pet, obviously, cigarettes are very bad for. So I was pretty upset at the time. They also were explaining to him that none of the men could hold her. And actually, the women there, too, had a really hard time handling her. She was very bitey, didn't like people touching her, petting her, picking her up, nothing. So me being the really brave, or stupid, 17-year-old that I was, I stuck my hand in her cage and I picked her up. It was funny, and surprisingly she came out. She didn't bite me, she did nothing, and she just came to me with no problem. The person that worked at the pet store was pretty stunned because, like they said, they had nobody that could handle her at the time, and they have no idea why. I have no idea why. She just for some reason liked me at the time, and obviously she still likes me. Those are my fingers. Don't bite my fingers. And I don't know, at that moment, I fell in love with her. Obviously, that's my ring. We obviously just kind of clicked and had a bond. And at that moment, I decided she had to come home with me. So I kind of already knew the people at the pet store because I came in there all the time. Don't do that, that's gross. Yeah, as you can tell, we have a really great bond. She's trying to feed me right now, her throw up, which is called regurgitating for birds. But we're going to ignore that. But I told them that she was coming home with me. Now, at the time, I was 17 and in high school, and these big birds are very expensive. So she, I think, was $1,100 or $1,200, which I did not have. So I spent about 2 hours in the store calling everyone I knew to try to find the money so I could buy her. But I told the people they couldn't sell her to the guy because she was for sure, I was finding a way to bring her home with me. 2 hours later, sure enough, I found a way to borrow the money from someone I knew, and she came home with me. It was kind of one of those in the right place at the right time kind of things because we have such a great bond. I don't know if she ever would have had that anywhere else. Those are my fingers. Those are my fingers. Will you stop? And I'm very fortunate that I was there that day. When I did get her, she did come with a bunch of paperwork that kind of had her likes, her dislikes, a little bit of information on her history. Her paperwork did say at the time, there was actually my glasses. Some of the paperwork said she was 12 years old, some of it said 14. So at the time, she was probably somewhere between 12 and 14 years. So now she should be around 26 or 28 years old. I did not name her. She came with her name, Maxine. She was called Max for short, so that was in the paperwork. We just kept her name. She knows her name. She can say Max. She is for sure a female. I did have her when I took her to the vet. They did test her, and she is 100% for sure a female. She does know how to say some things, not very much and not very often. She can say, pretty bird, hello, hi, especially when the telephone rings. She can say her name, Max. She can say bad, Max. There was some other stuff in her paperwork that supposedly she could say, but she's not very super talkative. Food-wise, she has her favorites. One of her most favorites food is walnuts. Are we gonna fight over the walnut? We're gonna fight over the walnut? Okay. We gotta do 2 walnuts because it's just not fair here. Walnut for you, and a walnut for you. Everybody can have a walnut, huh? That's her favorites. Not so much Poncho's favorites, but that's okay. We gotta be fair here. It's hard to tell from this angle, but Max had the same issue that Sunny had. So if you watched our previous video about Sunny, I kind of went over how... We can wait. Are you done? Oh, you knock it off. But like I said in the previous video, she was actually the other bird at the same time that Sunny did all of the plucking of her feathers. She did it also. So she has grown in a lot of the feathers that she did take out. I think she did do some follicle damage just like Sunny did that I don't think some of the feathers are coming back. Although there's some spots in there that I think will still come back. Right? So, but I still love her. She's my naked chicken, but she's still beautiful, aren't you? So since the day I've gotten her, me and Max have always had a very, very amazing relationship and bond. She actually gets along pretty well with most of the family, which doesn't usually happen with birds. Birds sometimes will be kind of like one people type of animals. Partially, I think it's because they are prey animals, which means, where are you going? Which means birds are prey animals, which means scary new things can be predators that eat them. So why not avoid the rest of the humans that could eat you? Plus, I mean, I think some birds will see humans as almost like their mate. That's why earlier when she was throwing up for me, it was actually regurgitating. They do that for their mates. She does it to actually a lot of people. It's really bizarre. I've tried ignoring it. Some people say it's a really bad behavior. You should ignore it. I've ignored it for, how long have I had you? 13 years now? I've ignored it for 13 years. It's never made her aggressive with anybody. She's not aggressive. I can't get it to stop, so we just let her be. It makes her happy. She likes to feed people her throw up. Is it delicious? It's gross, but you know, whatever. But we're gonna go put you in your stand real quick. Ooh, there you go. Can you step up? So, alright. Well, there is a better view of the naked chicken front right there. But Max lets me do lots of things that a lot of the other birds will not. Tickle her under her wings. Most birds don't like that always, but Max does not mind if I do that. Max, I don't know if you'll let me do it on the table. Hey, you come here. You come here. Hold on. No, you can't get up. Hey, you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Right here? There's my baby. Oh, hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. You're not gonna like it? Is it better on the carpet? All right. Crazy. Hey, you're very uncooperative. Max will usually let me put her on her back, and I can rub her belly, and she'll laugh. Like, I don't think it really tickles, but she'll laugh, like a pretend tickle, right? The rest of the birds would never let me do this. Yeah? All right, we'll put you back. There you go. There you go. Overall, we have a pretty good trusting bond. In the 13 years that I've had her, I've only ever really been seriously bit by her once, and it was totally my fault. I didn't respect her space and the signs that she was giving me that she was very uncomfortable. Again, going back to birds, don't always like new people. She was in her cage, and I was petting her, and I had a bunch of people looking at her in her cage because, again, she's awesome looking and cool, and people wanted to see her. And she got really stressed at the time because there were so many people, and I knew the signs that she was stressed. Her little white face there will actually turn very bright red when she gets stressed and freaking out. And I kind of could tell she was stressing, and I was kind of being stupid at the time and kind of just showing off my really cool, awesome bird. And I was petting her at the time, and she latched onto my hand so badly that when I went to draw my hand away because it hurt really bad, that she was dangling from my hand because she wouldn't let go. a reminder on how strong her beak is, she can open these and break open these walnuts, which aren't easy to open without a blink of the eye. She breaks these open, she can splinter wood pieces and all kinds of nuts, and their beaks are quite strong. Other than that, we've never really had a problem, right? She picks at me with her beak, but again, it's all in fun. This is all fun. We like to play. We like to play, right? Normally, it can be very dangerous putting your face very close to obviously a beak with all that much dangerousness, because it is a very sharp, very dangerous beak, right? Right? But I trust her, and I trust her because she trusts me, right? Oh, wait, no, you dance? You want to dance for them? Want to dance for him? She's got some good moves. There we go. I feel like a dance is coming. Sammy's telling you to rock and roll. There you go. Come on, show them your moves. There you go. Yeah? We call it her Stevie Wonder. Alright. So Poncho and Max haven't really known each other for very long. I think I've only had Poncho for what, 3 years? Maybe around 3 years. Poncho, as well as the loudmouth in the corner that we've heard through the whole video, as well as another bird I have over there, I actually got from my aunt who got me really interested in birds when I was a kid. She had quite a few birds while I was growing up, including a lot of birds she was breeding, and then she had her pet birds, which the 3 I have were part of her pet group. Well, she ended up having an accident where she hurt herself really bad, and she's been in and out of surgeries and couldn't really care for them the way they really needed to be cared for. Birds take a lot of work to care for appropriately, so I don't usually readily recommend them as pets for people. So she actually asked me, because I know people who do rescues and people who do rehoming for birds, so she kind of asked me if I knew somebody who would be a good fit, who could take care of them, that you know, that I knew would take care of them well enough. Being the saps that we are, I kind of mentioned to my husband that we'd have to talk to the rescues and find someone for them. He was very generous and said we would just take them. So Poncho's only been here for about 3 years now with the other ones. Pancho, we don't know if he or she is a boy or a girl. My aunt originally thought Pancho was a boy, hence his or her name. But over the years, I guess she started thinking that he was really a she. She can talk a lot better than Max does. Not as well as Sammy over there. They don't share a cage. Their cage is actually behind me, and it's a split cage, so there's kind of like a divider in the middle. They don't really love each other, but they don't really hate each other. So I can have them on the same stands as one another. I can hold them together. I've had them in the same cage together. You can pull the divider out. They don't go out of their way to attack each other, to hurt each other ever, but they also don't go out of their way to do things that birds, that's my face. They don't do things that birds that really like each other would do for each other. So like preening each other, where like if you go to a bird, you can kind of give like scritches and kind of pick at their feathers. Oh, you want me to get underneath there? Is that what you want me to do? You're kind of being weird. Aw, does that feel good? But birds will like to do that to each other. They don't like to do that. They just don't care for each other. But again, they don't hate each other either, so it's a sign that eventually they maybe could like each other. I personally don't really care either way. They don't have to like each other. So Poncho is a Green-Winged Macaw. So they're both macaws, just different type of macaws, because she or he is a macaw. Those are my fingers. And there's green on the wing. Very original, I guess. Right? Since bringing Poncho home, me and Pancho ended up with a pretty good bond, just like what me and Max have. And it was very, very surprising. Again, birds don't usually take well to new homes and new people because they usually bond so well with their current people. Again, usually because people usually equate it for, don't take my fingers out. Usually will equate that to being like their mate. So they don't usually easily just find a new mate. So when I took Pancho, I think the first week things were a little iffy. Poncho was a little scared of me, but it was a whole new environment, lots of scary things. But after that, I'm like Poncho's like favorite person, and I don't know why. I don't mind it. It's great, but Poncho kind of adores me. But Poncho comes to me no problem. I can pet you and rub you. Although you want to step up? You come here? You want off the stand? I don't think Poncho's digging the stand. We're gonna move the stand. You want to come here? But I can pet that big red head of yours, yes, and this big beak. So Poncho's beak is obviously because Poncho's bigger, a lot bigger beak. But again, Poncho does not scare me, do you? Background-wise, Poncho, I think, is a little older than Max. Poncho, my aunt actually had since Poncho was a little baby. So Poncho, she actually got before Poncho could eat by his or herself. So she actually hand-fed him as soon as he was old enough to come from his little birdie parents. She got him and was able to hand-feed him. Some beliefs are that birds can become more hand-tamed that way. Some people don't agree with it. Some people think it's better. You know, one half doesn't the other. I guess, you know, each person has their own beliefs on that. But so she's had Poncho for basically Poncho's whole entire life, right? Poncho has a decent vocabulary. Poncho can say dance. He can say rock and roll. Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Dance. Sometimes with birds it's kind of hard to understand what they're saying because their voices sometimes aren't clear. That was dance. Will you say, what else can you say? You can say boom if I do a bomb. Ready? It must have been a dud. I can't remember everything Poncho can say, but you can say some other things. You can say right. You can say mom. Can you say night-night? I think you can say night-night. Poncho loves pistachios. Pistachios are by far Poncho's favorite. That one, Max hates pistachios, so this one usually gets all the pistachios in the mix, and then usually the other one gets a lot of the walnuts. Although you were digging on the walnuts right now. You made a mess of my walnuts. You got walnuts all over the place. Now there's a piece of walnut right there. Yeah? Usually Poncho isn't a huge fan of walnuts. Is that good? Oh, he can say, is that good? So I think that's everything I can think of about these two big birds. Yeah? And if you're just checking us out for the first time, please subscribe to our channel. We tell them goodbye. You say goodbye. Like I'm not a circus act. No, not a circus act? Fine. I'll tell them goodbye. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. Oh, you're hilarious. We're gonna have a laughing competition. Oh, it's all just so funny. How am I supposed to make a video if everyone's just laughing?